My clock says 7. So, thank you for being here, and welcome to the December 5th, 2023 meeting of the Orland Park Plan Commission. Will everybody stand, please, for the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Begin with a roll call. I'm Nick Parisi, your chairman, and obviously I'm here. Commissioner Paul?
Here.
Commissioner Zamparelli?
Here.
Commissioner Sanchez?
Here.
Commissioner Nugent is on his way. He got stuck in no traffic, but he will be here. Commissioner Zatar indicated that he would not be here tonight. And we're still missing Commissioner Schuessler. I'm not sure whether he'll be here or not. So, moving forward. And there he is.
That's Ed.
Commissioner Schuessler. Welcome. Okay, the meeting is in order, and I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes for the November 21st Plan Commission meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Paul,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Sanchez. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I abstain.
Aye.
I wasn't here.
And Commissioner Zamparelli abstains. Okay. I move to open public hearings with, well, I move to open public hearings.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. We open public hearings with item number 2023-0898, substantive amendment clarify driveways and driveway apron regulations. Staff?
I respectfully request the staff report be accepted into the record as written and presented during the meeting.
Is your speaker on?
Yes.
Okay. Might want to tilt it a little towards you, the microphone.
Wisdom, can I just ask a quick question? Was this the continued hearing from the last?
Yes.
Okay, so we opened it as a continued hearing.
Okay, yes.
Great.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Oh,
No, I
noted.
just want to clarify, I just want to make it clear for the record.
Yes.
Noted.
So this amendment will ensure consistency with future changes by specifying the driveway construction requirements in the village code while referring to the land development code for zoning-related regulations such as widths, lengths, setbacks, things concerning driveways and driveway aprons. This amendment will make the land development code and the village code more efficient and easier for not only the staff but also the public. Here are the changes that we've proposed. We're going to move these parts in blue to the land development code, and we're going to reference it also here. We've added that piece. Here we have just removed the duplicate phrases and kept the number for clarity. Lastly, we have inserted the parts that were in blue from the previous two slides, which were originally in the village code to the land development code. In addition, the amendment references the village code for information related to the construction specifications for driveways and driveway aprons. So the staff recommends to accept the findings as fact as discussed at this Plan Commission meeting within the staff report dated November 29th, 2023. And the staff recommends that the Plan Commission recommend to the Village Board of Trustees to consider the approval for Section 3-4-6-2 presented in the attached report 12 as you guys have. And the staff also recommends that the Plan Commission approve the Land Development Code amendments as they are presented in the staff report.
Thank you.
And just a point of clarification, we originally requested the continuance because I guess we'll call the village code like the recipe that's needed to construct pavement, but we wanted like the zoning, like distance and area, that sort of thing in the land development code. But we want to work with engineering more on like the recipe part of transferring some of that out of the land development code into the village code. So this will be part 1 of 2. Part 2 will be determined in the future.
In the future. Thank you. Just one point of clarification. Where did I see this? It says, minimum concrete thickness of 6 inches. We've seen a lot of these driveways are made of brick.
Pavers.
Pardon?
Yeah, brick pavers.
Pavers. Should that be mentioned? Or did I miss it?
I remember seeing the 6. Let's see.
Are you referring to what's in the village
The
code
aprons?
or in the land development code?
I'm sorry, hon.
It's up there on the screen in the gray at the bottom, that the residential aprons have a minimum concrete thickness of 6 inches. That's
Oh, thank you, yeah.
right, that's what you're.
Right, that's what I was referring to.
Yeah, I believe the paver requirements are referenced elsewhere, if not in that section. I'm not sure off the top
They're
of
what?
my head. The paver requirements, so they're separate than the concrete requirements, but I believe they're in the same section, if not, if not referenced in the land development code correctly, so.
Okay. I'll go to my commissioners, if anybody has any comments or questions. Commissioner Zamparelli?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Why? Why are we changing this?
So we're really changing this just to clarify things because we have things both in the village code and in the land development code. So it can often get a little bit confusing for the public to be referencing 2 different things. So we're just trying to clean it up a little bit to where, like Carrie mentioned, some of those ingredient components such as like thickness and concrete are in the village code, whereas like the regulations as far as like setbacks and how wide a driveway has to be is within the land development code. So we're just moving things around.
But it says that the maximum width for driveways. I never thought we can have too wide of a driveway. I mean, obviously, take up the whole yard, but I would think a minimum is more important than a maximum. I'm just trying to get clarification.
Well, I would say most people want wider than
Right.
what is allowed, so just
Oh,
putting
do
a
they?
minimum, it might, I mean, we do have lot coverage standards and that sort of thing, but I guess I believe our village code regulations were more specific to like driveway apron width versus driveway width, the part between like the sidewalk and the house, where the land development code, I think it was just like, we took the apron width and just kind of went all the way up, so depending on which code you looked at, you thought you could have either a wider or narrower driveway, so that was really what kicked off this
See, a 16-foot,
request.
a 16-foot wide driveway is not a wide driveway. That's I mean, I have, in some spots, 20, and I'm just thinking, people are gonna, mine's an asphalt driveway.
But that's probably for a 2-car garage, right?
I got a unique situation.
And that would be okay, like a unique situation would be okay. We're essentially, if that section is really referencing the point between the sidewalk and where your driveway starts. If it has to flare elsewhere, we can absolutely look at that. But if you're saying, okay, 1-car garage, which again, new construction would be pretty rare, I would say, for a 1-car garage. but having 10 foot at that sidewalk is pretty standard, yeah.
All right, so on a single, it was 10 feet wide, which is okay.
10,
because-
20, 30 essentially based on single, double, yeah.
Because the garage door is usually 8 feet wide, so if you got a foot on each side, I could go with that. But I was more concerned with maximum. I'd rather see minimum, because it's not a bad thing to have people wanting a big driveway, right?
Well, there's lot coverage and raindrops need to go somewhere.
Then they wouldn't pass,
Also,
though. They wouldn't
yeah.
pass the code, because they wouldn't have the absorption rate, right? You know, if they pave too much of the driveway. So I think that I'd rather see somebody push for a larger driveway so they're not running over lawns. That's what I see sometimes. I grew up in Fairway. We had really small driveways, 10 feet, and it seemed like most people couldn't make that. Or just like I said about BJ's, all right? They couldn't make those parking spaces. People have a hard time with these big vehicles. That's all.
Yeah,
I just want to be, I'm a little concerned with making things the maximum when we should have gone with minimum. That's what I think, but.
Well, it seems when you get closer to the street level,
It can
you
flare
don't
at the
want such
street,
a
yeah.
width that you're encroaching on easements.
And the width
Or
where
you're
it's,
coaching your neighbor. I
Right.
can see when you can flare them out and you cut your neighbor. I've seen that, you know, but those are all special. That doesn't happen that much, does it?
I would say personally, it's easier to regulate a maximum, I would say, than a minimum. Again, when you have a situation where somebody's proposing a quote-unquote too large of a driveway, but they have the available lot coverage for that, you don't really want a situation where you have that. You'd rather dictate the size of the driveway and then everything else fall into place behind that, just if that makes sense.
Kind of, sort of. Go ahead.
I don't think either way is necessarily right or wrong. It's just, I think this is the best way for us to regulate the code.
No, it's public. Yeah.
I don't want a maximum because that easement, if we have to ever go through there with utilities,
Excuse me, I haven't had the pleasure of meeting you. Would you please tell us who you are and,
Joel Vanessa,
okay, and you're with Public Works?
He's the director.
Thank you. Well, I don't get around much.
we prefer the maximum because you have to replace that if you're doing any kind of work. And if you get bigger, that's extra cost to the village then to replace that apron when you have to cut through there. Also, we got requests to say, hey, this driveway, I want to build a sidewalk to my house. And we're like, well, along their concrete apron, you know, to try to increase the width, you know, so they're trying to get around the rules, you know, to expand their concrete, so.
Okay,
Perspective.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the
I
clarification.
just really wanted to know, I'm one of those guys that wants wider, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So, but that's all, thank you.
And they made these rules for you.
It seems like it. Like you're singling me out.
Anybody else have anything? John? Commissioner Nugent?
Before his
Oh,
comments.
by the way, John, I just want to make sure for the record, that in fact, Commissioners Schuessler and Nugent did arrive, and they are present. I said they'd be a little late at the onset of the
Yes.
meeting, so I just want that for the record.
yes.
Yeah, I got a call, a client's house got broken into, so I had to go over there. It's vacant, they live in California. On this, I read it, I was cool with it. The only thing I wanted to do, he happened to mention Fairway, but I was thinking about Fernway, Fairway, and Orland House Gardens, our three oldest neighborhoods. And probably three of the only neighborhoods that actually have one-car garages. Orland Hills Gardens, the H Streets, unlike other towns that have similar situations, those people have a hard time converting their one-car garages to living space and adding a driveway. Fairway's pretty easy for the ones that have that. And obviously Fernway, that has large lots. So my only thing was, in changing any of this, are we, and especially that group, not generalizing, but those have a lot of working class residents who might have a work vehicle at home and they may want what seems like a second driveway. We're not limiting their abilities to like convert garages or have a driveway along the side of the house, are we? So they still can like convert a one-car garage and have a driveway that goes to a new detached garage in the back? And we're not,
If there's room and lot coverage and as long as it meets the zoning
'cause you guys
district
are into
requirements
kind of
that they're
smooth
located in, yeah.
but I don't want to limit their ability to convert their garages for living space.
Yeah, probably your limiting factors are not this section in particular, just personal opinion, but
Because they'll often have a driveway along, especially Orland Hills Gardens, not so much Fernway, but some Fairway. They'll have a driveway along the side of their house, pretty close to the property line. And a lot of them, because the type of people that have the homes, will keep the original driveway too. So are they gonna have too wide of a driveway? Because you care more about between the sidewalk and the street, right? So do they still have to approach it from one drive? Are we gonna allow them to still put their drive? So this isn't, whatever rights they had yesterday, they would still have tomorrow?
They should.
These are
Yes,
grandfathered in.
It's more,
Well,
yeah.
no.
No, you're asking if
there's
it's
still other
grandfathered
Not
in.
the existing people, someone that like tomorrow comes in and says, I want to convert my one-car garage to a living space and put a garage in the back and do a driveway, like, oh, man, no, your driveway's too wide. So I don't want this to prohibit their ability to do that.
I guess the,
Right, it's all cleanup, right? I'm just verifying. I didn't.
I would say,
I just wanted to verify in the record that we're not limiting the options of those three neighborhoods.
I don't believe
No.
we are.
Not,
No,
this change is not changing that. We're simply just moving things around here. We haven't changed any of the numbers that are pre-existing. So what they could have done yesterday, they'll be able to do tomorrow. It's just, it won't be found in the village code, it'll be found in the land development code.
There may be other regulations.
Yeah,
that
other
will affect
regulations
that, yeah.
can and will stop them from doing whatever they want, but not this one.
Thank you. Commissioner Schussler?
I'd like to see you change the numbers. And I'm going to say it because it's not really before us, but I don't have any problem with leaving the apron the same, as the director indicated, for the reasons that he indicated. But we have a lot of two-car driveways in Orland Park. You know, he indicated the places where you have one-car driveways, and then you got the rest of the village, which is either two or three-car driveways, and predominantly two. We also have three-car driveways, but we have a lot of two-car driveways. That's probably the majority of the driveways. And it's 20 feet. So you take a two-car driveway, you put two cars in there side by side, and you're usually getting out in the grass on the driver's side or the car that's on the right side and the passenger side. I'd be comfortable if you just added a foot and you got a 21 feet instead of 20 feet. So you got a little more room to get out without stepping in the grass or stepping in the landscaping. But that's my personal opinion. My subdivision has a lot of 20-foot wide driveways. I've got a 20-foot wide driveway. And sometimes when my wife's caregiver parks a little bit too far on the one side, I have trouble getting out of the garage. So adding a foot would be nice to make it a minimum of, or a maximum of 21 feet. I have no problem with the maximum number. And I have no problem with the apron between the street and the curb at the present numbers that you have there. It just would be nice to have the driveways a little bit wider to make it easier to get out of a car when there's two cars in the driveway.
Thank you.
Those are my only comments.
Commissioner Sanchez, anything?
No, no questions here.
Paul?
Just one question. It was already brought up about the paver bricks. That and concrete, are there any other options? My understanding is you can't do blacktops on new driveways. Is that correct?
Should be able to.
I think we looked into that
Yeah,
like a
asphalt,
long time
concrete,
ago,
and
we were told we
paver
couldn't.
bricks. Yep, so that's allowed. I just pulled our flat work permit.
Okay.
today, So, yeah, still allowed. Yep.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
could I ask the staff, how do you feel about a 21-foot wide double driveway? Is that something you'd be amenable to, really not, maybe, okay? What's your feeling on it? Putting you on the spot, Kerry.
What is the basis of 20 feet? I would
Yeah.
think they would think that the average car width, even a full-size car, is X, multiply that by 2, and perhaps
Yeah, I mean,
that
parking-
the average driver would park on their side. But is that, I mean, so it would help to know what the basis of 20 feet is.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I guess just looking at our parking space requirements, the minimum, or the parking spaces are 9 feet, so this is already an extra foot for, I mean, cars fit in the 9-foot spaces, so there's 10. Are you looking at like 1 foot for every like 10 feet? So like a 10-foot wide driveway would be 11?
No, just for a double-car driveway, make it 21.
Make it
Leave
21?
leave the 3-car one the same,
Okay.
same as it is now.
Yeah,
When you think about a parking lot, you've got the space to go over. So 9 feet, because 9 feet is tight. A 10-foot wide is tight, in my opinion. I think the 21 is a great idea. But what would that do to you guys? Does that change the whole world?
I think the interesting part of this ordinance is that it's the measurements to consider, like I said, are at the sidewalk, right? So if you're, for Commissioner Schussler's example, you know, if you have like an extra foot outside of, if you kind of flare out a little bit from.
It'd be like
from
6
that spot,
inches
yeah,
on each
right.
side you're
Or,
talking
you
about.
know, as to fit the shape of your garage or home or whatnot. I don't think that would be prohibited as part of this. You could have that, but, you know, realistically, how many times are you going to have 2 cars entering a driveway at exactly the same time, to which you need exactly 2 car lengths to get in there, right? You probably have
No, they're
somebody
parking
going
next to each other. One's parking, and then the other
Sure.
one, to get out, is getting into the.
Right,
Like Ed's house, for example, that he's in a townhome, the neighbor parks a little too close. Now he can't, he can't get out of his garage. That's how tight 20 feet is. I mean, we make big cars now.
You guys didn't answer the question. What, is that something you'd want to consider, or you're amenable to it, or what's the staff feeling on it?
Yeah, we'll absolutely take a look at, you know, plenty of other villages, standards. I was looking at car widths before we came here. I know that like my little 05 Accord is around like 5.6. If you have an F-150, it's more like 6.5, 2/3, something like that. So, yeah, you could get pretty wide, but again, the idea between like 10, 20, 30, I really do like that you're forcing people to slow down to make that turn. And then if they need to, once they're in that driveway, if it flares out from there and they need more space to park, that's okay. But to slow down on the street and turn into that 10, 20, or 30, I think is applicable and fine, just personally.
That's certainly something
I
that,
could draw it out, yeah.
I mean, that's something.
But
you
we'll
might-
absolutely consider that. It's
Would you-
it's a
yeah,
fair
you would
consideration,
consider it.
especially a foot either
Yeah,
way.
obviously,
We'll
the
see.
purpose of this right now, this amendment, is just to consolidate where this information can be found.
Correct.
You know,
I don't want to hold up what you're planning to do here to clean things up, but could you look at it and report back to us?
Yeah,
Whether
absolutely.
that's
That's fair.
thank you.
feasible or it
Yeah.
isn't feasible for
With part
whatever
2,
reason.
after we
Thank you.
negotiate
And
more
once
of the
again, I'm not
recipe,
proposing that
go.
we're not proposing that we change the apron width. This would just be the driveway width to allow an easier time to get in and out of vehicles.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner
regarding-
Paul.
Regarding case number 2023-0898, I move to approve the staff recommendation action as presented in the staff report to the Plan Commission for this case.
have a second? Second. Seconded by Commissioner Sanchez. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? You have something? No? Okay. Thank you. I move we close public hearings.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now I move we open public hearings with public hearing number 2023-0515, Athletic Operations Maintenance Facility Project at 14601 West Avenue.
Second.
Okay, anybody opposed? No. Okay. And we have a petitioner here.
Just, before you start, can you let me know when you're ready to go to the next slide?
Yeah, I will. Thank you, Wisdom.
As the petitioner, will you get sworn in?
Oh,
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that any testimony you present tonight in this matter will be the truth and nothing but the truth? If so, please say I do.
I do.
Thank you.
Good evening, gentlemen and ladies. We have a few slides just to give a little bit of background of the project. At the village, we've been looking at a facility maintenance garage for the athletic division for quite a while now. Initially, we were thinking about it in the Centennial Park area, but the ground there is really bad. It's peat moss, you know, it used to be boggy area. And so we're really looking at to have a place to store materials and equipment for the athletic division. They maintain all the fields. And so what we first did was a comprehensive facility assessment at the village, both from a space utilization and the condition of all our facilities. And that was in 2020. And then in 2021, we did a master plan for the parks to figure out where best to locate particular programs and facilities. So what we did here is to look at the athletic and at being close to the John Humphrey complex still, close to the Village Hall. We do have a lot of activities still here in this area. And it's also just a half a mile away from Centennial Park, so it's a short commute over there, as well as Centennial Park venue. Next slide. So the scope of the project is about a 4,000 square building. Inside the building, we'll have some cage spaces for storage of the materials and equipment. There will be a loft on one side, below, above some not offices, but closed spaces, restrooms, and other break room area. So there'll be a loft above that. And that's really to store some of your special events, you know, like the fencing and stuff they roll up, and it's lightweight stuff upstairs. And then we have bathrooms and staff breakout areas. I highlighted a couple things also on the site there that we've addressed that you probably have seen in the plans related to covered storage bins, fenced areas, dumpster area, lighting, landscaping. There'll be parking for village equipment in the building and outside, as well as parking for some staff. Next slide. Part of this project also, we looked at renovation of the Veterans Center. You maybe have heard some of this recently with the mayor. So really, it's looking at how the assessment looked at the condition of the Veterans Building and how old it was. It's one of our oldest inventoried items. And we said, is there a better spot for the veterans, you know, to gather? And so they're going to go into the park admin building right next to this garage. And this is existing building. I know you guys don't cover renovations, but it's part of the scope of the work. And then there's a small garage to be next to that park admin building. That's to store some of the veteran stuff. They have grills and some other heavy stuff that we're not going to put in the house or the building where that used to be. It'll be in the garage area.
Is that the existing garage that's there now you're talking about?
No, the existing one will be tearing down.
Okay.
That's where the maintenance building will be, and then we'll add another small garage just for the veterans. And then we'll dispose of the building in the near future. The old veterans facility will go away as part of a follow-on project. Yeah, okay. This is the last one. The scope of the renovation is about 1,900 square foot renovation project. And they will have a gathering space, a break area, bathrooms, 2 storage rooms for veteran items, and then a basement storage area, plus the garage. So we've doubled or tripled the amount of storage that they need for the future for the veterans. The building also has a brand new deck. We just fixed that this year. There's landscaping there. We'll bring over the American flagpoles and other veteran items as part of the project. And then the garage will be divided actually into 2 groups. They do like to have their areas separated between the 2 groups. So I'll take any questions, or Wisdom, do you have some things after this too, or no? Okay, Wisdom will take it from there. But again, appreciate presenting that. Again, sorry, Public Works Director Joel Van Essen, and I'm the petitioner as an agent of the mayor and the village manager.
Thank you. Good to meet you.
Thanks, Joe.
And Jonathan's here, the designer. He can answer any questions as well. He's been great working with us the whole
Nice
time.
design, yes. Yes?
Thank you. Again, I'd like to respectfully request the staff report be accepted into the record as written and as presented during the meeting. I'll go briefly over some of the planning-related things. I think the director did a good job of describing a little bit about the background and summary of the project. As he mentioned, the proposed plan introduces a new building that will be replacing the existing maintenance garage and a new storage garage. The athletics maintenance facility is designed for continued upkeep and enhancement of our athletic fields and recreational spaces. For the comprehensive plan, it's located in the downtown planning district, and its planning land designation is open space, parks, and recreation. This is an aerial photo of the area. You guys have these plans.
Yes.
This is a conceptual rendering of what that building will look like. So according to the land development code, the required minimum setbacks are 5 feet. The new building exceeds that. The building, like the director mentioned, is approximately 4,000 square feet, and the garage is approximately 1,300 square feet. Here are more renderings of the building elevations. Sorry, guess I'll keep talking first. According to the land development code again, it's required that this use, which is a warehouse use, has a count of 1 for every 1,000 square feet. It's required that they have 6 parking spaces. They have 7, so they meet there. The outdoor storage is screened on both sides by a gate. A new fence has been proposed, and it also complies with Code Section 6-310 in our land development code. Moving forward. The building is primarily masonry, and its proposed height is 23 feet and 2 inches. All signage was proposed, and they'll have to get a sign permit to erect any signs within the village. Preliminary engineering has been recommended for approval for this project. Okay. So regarding case number 2023-0515, also known as the Orland Park's Athletic Maintenance Facility, staff recommends to accept and make the findings of fact as discussed at the Plan Commission meeting and within the staff report dated November 29th of 2023. The staff also recommends the Plan Commission approve the site plan and the building elevations with the following conditions labeled 1 through 4.
Got it. Yeah.
Yes, oh, I'm finished, yes.
Okay, right, yeah. We have them in front of us. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. With that, I guess I'll go to my commissioners. If there's any questions or comments. Once again, Commissioner Zamparelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Joe, did you say that right? The little garage is going to have a basement? Did I hear that wrong?
No, the existing park administration building that's being turned into the veterans has a basement.
Okay.
And we'll have some storage down there for them.
All right, I knew that. All right, I thought that was what
No,
you said.
no basement for the new stuff.
Because that'd be a little expensive for a little garage.
It would.
Yes.
It would be very.
This is to the architect. I'm just curious, why, it's a 412 pitch on the roof. I would think this building would look nicer with a steeper roof. Any reason?
Swear in.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that any testimony you present tonight in this matter will be the truth and nothing but the truth? If so, please say I do.
I do.
Thank you.
Sure. John Morowski with DLA Architects. So the structure of the building is a pre-engineered steel building. Normally, it would be a metal siding building, which is a typical pre-engineered building, but with zoning and building code, 80% has to be masonry. So we're actually having the metal siding behind the brick, and that'll give our shear walls on all 4 sides, and then we'll skin it on the outside with the brick. So the normal Pre-engineered roof is a very shallow, almost a 1/4 inch to 1 inch roof. The steeper the roof, the more expensive it is for pre-engineered. So we try to keep it fairly shallow. So,
All right, because I was curious on that. So
Yeah.
you basically are building a shed with a facade, a brick facade,
100%, yeah.
which is fine. I mean, I believe in keeping costs, but
Yeah.
I wish I knew how much the difference would be, because I think a nice, I mean, because that building is going to be, that old garage that's there now has been there for longer than I can remember.
Yeah, that garage, you can like move with your hand, and the walls kind of, yeah, it's.
Not good.
No.
Yeah, but it's funny, it's been around for a while. We've
Yeah.
utilized it, that old house.
Got our money's worth.
Another question. Now, we're going to keep the lawnmower, all the equipment that cut the Humphrey plow in this barn, this garage, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of athletic equipment, so that they'll store that. Right now, it's to the elements, and my maintenance guys have to maintain that equipment, which is terrible because the elements are just destroying them all the time. So they'll be stored, most of them will be stored in there, like a pickup truck, probably not, because they'll keep that outside, but the smaller things.
Because we contract out our parks, but our crew, actually, our employees actually cut the fields, right?
Yeah, they have some equipment, yes, and striping equipment, and there's other valuable equipment that they do have.
Well, I like it, but I guess that old house that's there, that was wasn't the staff in there at one time?
Parks, maintenance.
Yes, park maintenance was there. There's only 2 current offices there. They're moving over to the rec admin facility.
I mean, it's got kind of a nice little old house, but I was looking at this beautiful garage, and I'm like, well, why don't we just build a new house too with this barn? Did you think of that or no?
No.
Money was good. All right, just checking.
That house is actually in one of our better shapes. We put a brand new roof on it. And so we've invested a lot of other interior work. And so we have a lot of years left. And the assessment showed that we didn't have a lot of work yet to do in that house. So
It fits in nice there anyway, so
and it does fit a nice, the veterans are some of them are very excited about that location because they'll be in the park area too. So
Sure.
it's a win-win in our eyes.
Makes sense.
excellent. Well, thank you, and that's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Nugent?
Can I do an extra, sir?
Can you what?
What'd I do? No. Attention to detail. So, not to be insulting to our designer and architect, but it's 14671W Avenue, and this is one time where West would not be abbreviated. And then paperwork, but we at times refer to this as 14671, 14601. Has each building got its own address now? And so our addresses are not consistent. So if both addresses apply, shouldn't these things, like code what we're doing, reference both addresses? I don't mean to be
Yes, you do.
a pain.
We'll work with our GIS staff to assign the proper addressing for these
Okay, but anything
buildings.
we do in approval, I'm just
Yeah.
thinking like when Ed does for the record,
It's a good point.
but the street should be spelled out, right? And then, so, in our approval though, in the ordinance, are we approving 14601 or 14671? Or both?
14601.
What's the address of the existing house?
I'm just thinking we should have our address consistent and correct. As far as the actual stuff, the question, I don't have any questions. Did any of the neighbors on West Avenue object or have any concerns?
Not that we know of. I thought maybe some might
I mean, no, they don't
come up
but
today,
nobody's-
but
yeah, okay,
yeah.
I'm good.
Thank you. Commissioner Schussler?
They're checking.
So some veterans aren't too happy about moving, is that the,
There's,
most are, but
most are. I think we've convinced some of the ones that didn't know the plan and they got more informed and better opinions now, so.
how much money are they projecting to spend on remodeling the building for the veterans?
We set aside about 90,000, but until the bids come in, we'll see how much the cost will be. So between the two, we whatever the final
It's
bids are.
kind of a not pertinent question because we're really talking about the garage here, so I just was
Just curious, yeah.
curious because we're knocking down a lot of buildings these days, and that's an old building, even though we spent a lot of money to make it usable for the parks people. I think it would have made more sense to save the cultural center and put them in there, which is a newer building. But I understand they've done studies and made their decision, so that's beside the point.
We actually, the mayor offered the
To
cultural
the
arts.
school district, I understand. Yeah.
And school district and the veterans too, for $1, they could have the culture arts. They didn't want it. That was a couple of years back.
Okay, more to the point, to the building. Attractive building, kudos. My only question is, what size brick are you proposing for the skin? Is it the utility brick, the larger brick? Okay. Because that's cheaper to lay because you get fewer bricks, right?
Yeah, labor will be cheaper, and the colors are actually the same colors that you have at the Village Hall, which is like the purplish and
Okay.
orangish.
I had trouble figuring out exactly, is the building going to go exactly, or pretty much where the existing garage is? Okay, so there'll be a door facing south then to,
It's a,
Skew, but it is
Southwest?
okay, so that's to get out to the parking lot and then onto
it's
the
a
fields.
pass-through. The floor plan is a pass-through. So
Okay.
the door on either side.
So there wasn't any place you could, I mean, the building's great, you need the building, no problem there. Most of the fields are down at Centennial. There wasn't any place on the Centennial site that just made sense?
We were, back in 2015, they were looking at some spots by the sledding hill, but all that area is just old marsh. Even the pool is built in the marsh. We have pipes breaking all the time with the pool.
Really?
So it's really not ideal in that area over there.
Yeah, well, it's adjacent to a lake which used to be a peat field, so
You got it.
there you go.
Yeah.
No, I really have no other questions. It's an attractive building, it's necessary, and I'm all in favor of it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sanchez, anything?
No, my only question was around the address, which was already asked. Besides that, I think it looks great.
Thank you. Commissioner Paul?
That's a great idea. I'm on board with that. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
As am I.
They worked hard at it. So.
Yes, and it shows. And I would entertain a motion. Well, I'll give the motion then. Regarding case number 2023-0515, also known as Orland Park Athletic Maintenance Facility, I move to approve the staff recommended action as presented in the staff report to the Plan Commission for this case.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Paul. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No.
One point regarding the address, I was just telling him that the existing building is north of 147th Street. So 14671 West Avenue would probably be the correct address. And what we've got on the sheet here doesn't make a lot of sense. 14601 would be even farther north of the cabins that are there. So I think 14671 is probably the correct address for everything. Now, you might want to give a different address to the garage in the back, but I think the building in the front, which is now going to be the Veterans Building, I think the address is probably 14671.
Yeah, and I think the house is probably 147.
No, not that.
Yeah,
old
the house, the veterans are gonna get, because it'd be 14701. Because I used to own 14700 West Avenue, which is diagonally across the street. And when the village would do Civil War enactments, they would put 14700 West Avenue. And these people would show up at my rental with guns, Civil War enactment.
Good Lord.
So I know that the house would be at least 147, the veterans, the new veterans
No,
home?
it can't be because it's north of 147.
No, it's south.
for-
What's
for-
going to become the veterans' home is
Yeah, so for reference, I just looked up 14672, which is right across the street of West.
north, I'm
So
wrong.
that would be northwest corner of 147th and West.
So you're right,
So-
I'm wrong. It's north of.
It is because 147th doesn't go through, but it goes into the parking lot that's to the south of this building.
Yes, correct. Yep.
Yes, Carrie, do you have something you wanted to add? Did you want to?
Okay, so the PIN number in the report of 27-09-218-026 is the property we're discussing as part of this case. The buildings will be located on that PIN. We do have it in our system as 14601, but each building should have its own address, so we'll have our GIS staff work on the grid, the address
And
grid to find the
14601
right
is going to be
addresses for
way
those.
off. It's way
Yeah.
north of both the proposed building and the
Yes.
existing building.
I give you a piece of dorky information, but 147th Street used to be known as South Street, and it went all the way from there and across the Grange Road by Christ Lutheran Church, and the front of the church was 147th Street, which 147th picks up again. But 147th was the original southern boundary of the village, and it was known as South Avenue.
Huh,
Piece of useless information you all got for today.
well, that's good stuff.
For today.
There you go.
Better now?
Well, okay, we have, we made the motion, it was approved unanimously. If there is any other new business, otherwise, I'll make a motion.
Scott? Nothing's new business?
Yes, please.
Quick piece of new business. So I just wanted to introduce our new senior engineer, Peter Polchik. So you'll be seeing more of Peter, a little bit less of me as time goes on, but just wanted to introduce Peter to Plan Commission.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for introducing us.
You use the word senior, you're a senior engineer?
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
Basically swap positions with,
Yeah, so Sean Marquez was previously village engineer. I'm now in that position then.
Okay,
Peter has senior engineer now, yes.
okay. There being no new business, motion to adjourn at 7:47 PM.
Second.
Motion and a second by Commissioner Paul in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all, and thank you, staff, and thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good to meet you. Nice building.
I'll be back on the 21st.
Okay, Arnold.
Yeah, yes.
21st, what are you back for?
Arnold
then?
Schwarzenegger, I'll be
Police
back.
Department range.
Oh, yeah. Range is going to move over into the